Good morning friends, Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal and Adab. This is my 213th video and it will be in continuation with the making of the Janam-Patri. In the past 1.5 years, there were many people who have got their Janam-Patri. Some are dissatisfied with the making of it, and some have even questioned that Mr. Das, what you are doing or what you are writing, we already know about our papers like this. But did I know about those papers? No, I didn't know. Now, once the Janam-Patri is made, I know the grey areas, I know what is to be found more and what is the evidence to be created. So, with this leverage of time, let's say Bungalow A does not have any issue, no problem, no notice, nothing. He is living freely, but he doesn't have his evidence. Once for presume he has his evidence that he has his sale deed from 1893. I'll share it to all of you. Purushottam Das Tandon showed his registry from 1845. Poona Ghaswala showed his registry from 1865. Did they win? No, they didn't. Friends, please, don't judge yourself or don't start judging me also. You know, sometimes, why this Janam-Patri? Let's say this is the first step in the cradle. When a child starts walking, this is his first step. So with this first step, when he shares his documents, house tax, let's say if there is any notice on construction, taxation, sanitation, PP Act, a tree cutting slip, predecessors, he doesn't have those records. So this is where the Janam-Patri begins. So now this is, what are the benefits of this Janam-Patri and why is it necessary? The benefits of this Janam-Patri is on any eventuality tomorrow. Let's say you get a notice. Let's say you get a resumption notice. Let's say you nowadays people are getting lease notices. 1 crore, 80 lakhs, 45 lakhs, 25 lakhs. What do? They run. Either they presume into this that yes, we are an old grant and since 1911, or I'll just share it since 1865. The first case of Robinson Carey versus Secretary of State Barrackpur. Nobody is won. The problem why they've not won is what the Janam-Patri will tell you, or what I will get to know from your document. So in this Janam-Patri, let's say people have made it good. Now this entire video goes on the fact that how do we begin? Now let's say why this Janam-Patri is one part, and how do we begin with Mr. Das for his research and his consultation. Now this question begins with the first step, and that is Janam-Patri. Presumingly, Bungalow owner has already got his Janam-Patri made. So he'll move to the second step now. Because I already know his papers. We've tried in the past to dig in a lot of records. Whether we've achieved it or not, whether the Bungalow owner has taken my tow line and he has dug into those records is in an immaterial situation. But at least we know from where to begin. So what should be our pleading as per our documents? Some would say, Mr. Das, we couldn't get. Let's say a Bungalow owner from Bareilly was least satisfied for my Janam-Patri. Why? Because it was in a vacuum property. I'm exampling something. I asked him to dig into the 1952-57 vacuum rights order where the estimate of his auction must have been made. He didn't want to do that. So that is not my mistake. Na? I can only guide him that since this property became in a vacuum, the Muslim who was owning this property moved. Dig into your record, whether it is a bungalow from Firozpur where a lot of vacuum properties are, whether it was from Bareilly or anywhere in this cantonment, Danapur has. So once you get these documents, so my cut dates were very simple. Sale deeds prior to 1938, prior to 1924, prior to 1912, and prior to 1899. Now, presumably when we have these deeds, then we get to know, did the person sitting in 1899 or 1912 or 1924, did he give an admission deed? Because Pune Ghaswala case said that the sanctioning came for the sale in 1909 for the purchase of the bungalow. So this is how the whole admission process starts. Now let's say the notices has come, whether it has come under the Cantonment Act or whether it has come under after the Cantonment Act. Let's say people don't approach him. You got a notice under 185, you got a notice under 6971 of taxation, you got a notice under 244 commercial use, anything. And finally the PP Act has started, which I had mentioned a lot of people in my video, and I upgraded those, that how many notices can you get? You know, there are some notices which the department can issue. Now under PP Act, the department will issue a notice under section 3.1, this is eviction for temporary occupants. Under section 4.1 and 5.1, unauthorized occupant. This is once the resumption notice is issued, you become after 30 days one of these. Under 5A1, to remove unauthorized construction. Under 5B1, demolish unauthorized construction. Under 5C1 is to seal your bungalow. And under section 7, to claim damages from you. So you can get any notice under these. So what do we do now? So here the people say, Mr. Das, we need you to give reply. So these are the issues where we start. So what I need everything. I have written in these letters, I need sale deeds, I need if any admission deed given by predecessors, any correspondence with the department, ever a notice under either of the sections of Cantonment Act 1924 or 1910, or maybe prior if somebody is holding some records, or the 2006 Cantonment Act, CLA rules in 1925, whether you are holding the GLR of that time when it was first made in 1929 or the GLR of 1937 and later. So these things become very important, and most of the cantonments, if you realize, let's say Ambala, my original DO is Ambala DO, but prior to this in 60s it was DO Delhi, and prior to independence my DO was at Rawalpindi. So now that is Pakistan. How will I dig into the records? Whether these records were shifted to the new DO, and my cantonment magistrate was always Ambala. Guys, remember one thing. Why I say this 1924? Because prior to 1924, the entire powers of the land records were with whom? Were with the cantonment magistrate. So the DO cannot evade you with this thought that the records were never transferred or never in my possession. Rawalpindi did not transfer them to Delhi. Delhi did not transfer them to Ambala. So the record of the property prior to 1924. I have dug into so many records of bungalow owners. Variedly, the department does not share documents prior to 1938 and 24. It doesn't. Why? There is a reason behind it. I have some notifications of 1930s where the then British government was saying how admissions have to be taken, how trees have to be said that these are ours, because if trees are belonging to the owner, that means tree is attached to the land. Isn't the building attached to the land? So these are it. So now once this Janam-Patri is made after a payment of in advance 20,000 rupees, we move to the next step. The next step is the Janam-Patri or the notice holder will be entitled to have a conference call within his family, or he can, if it is an institute, or let's say if it is a school, or it is some NGO or some anything like it could be. There are commercial properties. And there are clubs. I remember I got a call from Ahmednagar club. So there is a board, there is a district collector who's the president of it. You go down to Shahjahanpur, they've got notices of lease money. ठीक है, you see Belgaum. So that's how it is. So they can participate. And on this first discussion of the Zoom meeting, where we will view into each other and we'll talk. So this process is the first step. Now once this step is done, what do we do then? You know, after making this Janam-Patri, some people, ask me, Mr. Das, okay, Janam-Patri 20,000 and we pay you out and this is made. Guys, remember, this Janam-Patri is your baseline. We cannot plead anything other than the documents what we hold on. Most of the cases which I have researched, people and the advocates, unfortunately, I'm sorry, they plead that we are owners of the property. So we have to understand. Now this Janam-Patri, what is people ask me, Mr. Das, why 20,000 rupees? This 20,000 rupees is for my mindset, because I chalk down questions onto it. What are the grey areas and what are the strong areas? In most of the Janam-Patris, I tend to write in green the question. So that question means either you tell me or you dig into it, or this is what was wrong as per the law. See, when I am reading a paper with my acumen, I understand what does the law interpret in 1899 or 1912, the language written in the sale deed. I have an order which was made for Jalandhar Cantonment, the words used as easement in a sale deed. So the department and the legal opinion is coming that easement right means that it is a lease. So is an old grant a lease? So this is what my mind works on. Now I know what in 1900 and Ghaswala case, how the courts interpreted the 1865 Governor General order. I know how a case in Kamti, there was an order of the Madras Presidency of the Army Regulation of the Madras. So when I memorize these and I chalk them, I know what I am doing. Now this Janam-Patri, once it is done, I get on whether this property ever was mortgaged. Now most of the people will say, Mr. Das, cant properties are not mortgaged. It's written in Rule 10 only. But that's a problem which we don't understand. The GLR has to be made as per some particular rules. Unfortunately, we have a judgment where the GLR doesn't speak anything for us. So this happens. And now there are some people who says, Mr. Das, why that 20,000 in additional expenditure? There is no additional expenditure. Yes, if the file is huge, let's say if you send me the file on mail, printout expenses would be there. Let's say if I have to take out colored prints, my office tends to take them out from the photostat machine. Those charges have to be paid. Then if the vernacular documents come to me, somebody has to interpret them or somebody has to read them. Let's say I had a registry of 1872. It's written in the English handwritten style, not readable by any ordinary person. So then I have to dictate, the typist has to type. So these are those charges. File making, photocopying. Once this all is done, your first step to Janam-Patri and a pleading of notice or an executive fight starts. I hope people will understand this. Thank you. Good day.